What's up guys, Intellitech Studios here, and today we'll be doing a re-review of the #1 budget vacuum that I've recommended for the past 8 years now. This is the Bissell PowerForce bagged Model 1739, and this is exactly identical to the machine that I reviewed a number of years ago at my old house. Actually, it was at my dad's house. This is the exact same machine, and nothing's really changed, but I just want to do a re-review on it to re-emphasize the fact that it's still my #1 budget pick, even though the price has increased on it a little bit since then. I forgot exactly what it was at the time, but now you can get this brand new at Walmart for $58, so about $60, $65 after tax, depending on where you are. And you can sometimes find these refurbished direct from Bissell on their eBay store, and when they have them, they're about $45. And I would have gone that route because I try not to avoid buying new machines because I obviously don't need them, but they didn't have any this time around, so I had to buy it new from Walmart, and that's where most of you are going to be buying it from anyways. Now, I already did an assembly tutorial, so you can see that. I'll link that in the description in case you need to see that. That won't be in this video, of course, but the gist of this machine is that it's the best filtering and the best cleaning machine that you can get for under $100. Now, there is a version of this machine that's based off the older platform that's a commercial machine. It's called the Bissell Big Green Commercial, model number BGU1451T. And I'll link that in the description as well, because in my opinion, if you're able to spend the few extra bucks to get that machine, I think it's personally worth the upgrade, because you get something with better build quality, you get something where more parts are available in case you need it. The overall performance is a little bit better, and the motor is a little bit more powerful and a little bit easier to listen to. But the machine is a little bit heavier because of the commercial cord and the older, more bulkier design. So take your pick. Now, this one features 5 height adjustment positions, although even though it says bare floor, I would not recommend using the power foot on bare floors. Instead, what I recommend is either purchasing a bagged Bissell Zing for the same price as this and pairing the two together to have a cleaning setup, which you can get for about $130. Or the alternative is you can actually buy the hard floor attachment designed for other machines like Dyson's, every modern Dyson here in the States, and also some Kenmore and Panasonic machines. Now, in my case, I actually got lucky and found one of these Dyson Floor tools at Goodwill for $4. But even if you have to buy one of these, hopefully in better condition than this one, you can find these all over eBay. I wouldn't recommend paying full Dyson price for them because they're a little expensive. In fact, they're about the price of the vacuum. But if you can find one of these for cheap, this is actually the exact same fitting as what this Bissell has. And you can even purchase some extra extension wands direct from Bissell. And what I'll do is I'll do my best to link the extra extension wands in the description, and the floor tool, it's kind of hard to link in the description because of eBay listings obviously always being sold, but I'll at least link the Dyson listing to it, so even though I don't recommend paying that much, you at least know what you're looking for and know the part number. So a good solution for bare floors for this is you can essentially put this wand onto this. Now obviously you'll need a few more wands because this is very short, but order yourself a couple extra wands and put the hose on the end. And then with that, you actually have a machine that would work very well for bare floors, and you wouldn't have to worry about having to buy a separate entire machine that you'd have to worry about storing. Now, the reason why I'm saying that right off the bat is because, of course, with the type of machine this is, that is going to be the biggest Achilles heel, is not being able to accurately clean bare floors, as this brush roll design will, of course, just scatter debris and risk scratching your floors. Unlike the bagless models of this that were recently updated with a squeegee, this does not have that, although in my opinion that's better because it means there's less resistance when you're using it on carpet, which is the primary function of this machine. The carpet cleaning performance of this machine is actually pretty good, although I noticed the brush roll has slightly softer bristles than the replacements that we often see. So technically speaking, you could upgrade this brush roll from either a replacement one from Bissell or buying a CWP Cleveland Wood Products aftermarket brush roll, where it would essentially turn into the same performance as something like a Maytag Wind Tunnel, which are some of the best deep cleaning machines you can get. But even as it stands, this is going to be better than any Shark, this is going to be better than any Dirt Devil, and it's going to be better than a lot of Hoovers that are on the market right now as well. And there's a reason why I recommend it. It also will even clean better than some of the more premium Bissells. Like, for example, there's a version of this machine called the CleanView Swivel Pet. It's a bagless machine with a swivel neck that I recently reviewed a couple of months ago, and that machine, for whatever reason, doesn't clean as well as this machine does. And in fact, this machine will actually go to my grandmother, who will be replacing her Powerlifter Swivel Pet, as it got a little bit too heavy for her to push. This will clean significantly better. It'll filter better because it's bagged, and also be easier to push, and you don't have to worry about any weird swivel neck. So this machine will be good for that purpose. Now, we'll touch on the bags real quick because I just mentioned that. On this vacuum, there's a release latch that you can pull down and pop this out. Now, I recommend buying the Clean Fairy HEPA bags. They're literally the best bags that you can get, and I don't think that's even debatable. Not only are they the correct bags for Bissell, so you're not doing any weird jerry-rigging with putting the wrong bag in, but they're also HEPA bags with a cloth synthetic material that do great at filtering and keep the inside free of dust. These particular bags you can find on Amazon, a 20-pack of bags for only $20. And considering each bag in your home can last anywhere from a month to 2 months, that's a long time that you get a pack of bags. Now, they do make paper versions as well that are a couple bucks cheaper, and I would recommend those at the very least over the Febreze and Great Value bags that you get at Walmart and that originally came with this machine. But these bags are much better, and I'm not sponsored to say that. My Amazon affiliate program was shut down, and I don't have access to it, so they're not paying me to say this, although I wish they were, because I do genuinely like these bags. And I will link these bags in the description as well, because in my opinion, there's no excuse to buy anything else if these are in stock. They're the best deal, and they filter the best. They're literally the best in every single way. Now, there is a pre-motor filter on this unit, but if you run good bags, you shouldn't ever have to worry about that. Now, I guess I should clarify, if you do have any issues with it, you can, of course, pull it out and wash it, dry it, and put it back in. But in general, with a bag machine, you shouldn't have to worry about that. You never have to clean these as often, or I should say you almost never have to clean these, and you definitely never have to clean these as often as in a bagless machine. So even though some people might not like bags, this is going to be a much better solution than bagless because it's going to filter a lot better and there's less maintenance overall with the platform. The only thing you'd have to worry about this is changing the belts. And the bags fit on very snugly and they just push against the collar and they pop off really easy as well. So I have done a video on how to replace your Bissell bag, but the gist of it is, of course, pull out the latch, pop off your old bag whenever it gets full by just pulling it off the collar, and then take your new bag, pretend this is a new bag, and just push it on, and that's it. Then you just tuck it in, make sure that it's pushed in so that way it doesn't get pinched on anything, and you're good to go. So that's all there is to it. Now, you will have to replace the belt on this about every 6 months, as it is a wear item with this machine. You'll also want to make sure to keep the brush roll free of hair if you want to keep this machine running for however many years. And if you do that basic maintenance, you should be able to keep this machine running for at least 20 years. Now, I did do a separate video as well on how to change the belts on these machines, and hopefully I'll remember to include that as well in the description. Now, the way you operate this machine is pretty simple. This turns it on, and you press it again to turn it off. It's going to get a little loud, but I'll demonstrate that real quick. Now, my biggest complaint with this machine is the fact that even though this machine doesn't have a super loud motor, the actual sound deadening in this machine is very minimal. Now, it's not as bad as some older machines, like some of the Eureka Lightspeeds and Dirt Devil F1 Breeze models from the early 2000s, but the motor is high-pitched and screechy, so even though it's not technically loud, it can feel louder than it actually is because of how high-pitched and squealy the motor is. And that's just the simple nature of it. These Bissells aren't fitted with 12 amp or even 10 amp motors anymore. If you want the 10 amp motor, you have to step up to the commercial version, which again, I linked in the description. That one does have a nicer motor in it, but the quality of this is pretty decent. You can see the static cling is kind of bad, but this is an 8 amp motor, but these motors have tended to be pretty decent in these units. Some of the more expensive ones, I've seen them fail prematurely, but these have been very robust in my experience. And it does have a 1-year warranty, and Bissell is usually very good about honoring their warranties. And unlike TTI, which TTI is the company that runs Dirt Devil and Hoover, so you're going to have much more luck getting support for this machine than you would from any of its competitors. I'm not sure how Medea is. That's the company that does Eureka now. But I can say confidently that TTI, you'd have a worse experience than you would dealing with Bissell. And like I said, TTI, that's the company that is both Dirt Devil and Hoover. They're actually the same company along with Auric now, in case you didn't know. So the overall gist of this Bissell is that it cleans well, and it also has a decently, not long cord, but it's acceptable for the price. It's a 23-foot cord. I would have liked to see 25 feet for this price, but of course, you can always add an extension cord, but just make sure it's the right gauge and make sure it supports the amperage that this does. Be very careful with that. And we do have some attachments on board. Now, one other upgrade that this machine has over the bagless variant is you actually get a stretch hose on the base model, whereas you don't get that on the PowerForce Helix. You actually have to step up to the Helix Turbo, which is more expensive, to get the stretch hose. So the bagged one, you actually get the clear stretch hose, whereas you don't get that with the bagless one, and that makes the reach on this infinitely higher. But you do have the same attachment set with one exception. You've got this combination dusting brush and upholstery tool, but it's more so of a dusting brush with bristles that are too stiff to really dust anything. But sometimes batch to batch, these do vary a little bit, and this particular one is not bad, but I have seen ones that are softer, and I've seen ones that are a lot stiffer. So this exact one, I'd say, is more of an upholstery brush, but you could also use to dust things that aren't super delicate. But like I mentioned, you can use Dyson attachments. So you could always get one of the Dyson soft dusting brushes or one of the other carbon fiber Dyson soft dusting brushes, and those will fit on the hose and on the wand. Which is another reason why I really like these, because Dysons have the best attachment ecosystem, but a lot of people don't want to deal with modern Dysons. This is a good solution because you can still use those attachments. And it just clicks right on. Now I'll do a little demo of this in just a sec. And right next to this, we've got an extension wand, and inside is actually a crevice tool that's a lot longer and more usable than on the bagless one. Again, for some reason, the bagless version has a really short, stubby crevice tool that ends right around here, whereas this one is about 3 times as long. So it's much better at getting into cushions and into corners and whatnot. Now the wand is still shorter than the older style PowerForces and the commercial one that I mentioned, but ironically the crevice tool is longer, so it kind of makes up for it. Now, you can get extra extension wands like I mentioned earlier, and the way this machine is designed, you actually could store an extra one of these on board by simply taking the hose and just simply de-stretching it. And then now, we actually have enough slack that I can put one of those wands here and put the hose on that way. It looks kind of janky, but it does work, and it actually, seems to sit in place almost like it was designed for it. So you could easily buy another one of these small extension wands and keep it on board. Now you'd probably need to get a third one of these smaller ones in order to accurately use this floor tool, unless you're super short, but if you got that, you can store at least one of those extra wands on board, which is kind of nice. Now it is just friction fit, so you can see I'm kind of struggling to work with that because I don't have the tripod just yet. And one thing I don't like about this is because of the sort of exterior fitting, a lot of dust does get on the attachments. So I find myself either wiping them on the carpet or wiping them down with a rag after use, which I don't mind doing at all, but some people might find that annoying. But most other machines are like that. That's not a Bissell exclusive problem, but it's something to keep in mind. And the crevice tool, as you can see, does nestle inside the extension wand with the part with the ridge facing up and clicks into place. So if you're wondering how that stores, that's how it stores. So this is my couch, and as you can see, it is currently covered in dog hair. So we're going to test this combination dusting brush upholstery tool that comes with the PowerForce and see how well it does with this mess. Again, it's going to get loud. I'm turning on the machine, just letting you know. 3, 2, 1. actually did a pretty decent job. Now, of course, if I go, there's like a couple little bits of hair that are still stuck in, but just for a relatively quick try, it does pretty good. And like I mentioned, you do have the ability to fit both the older Bissell style turbo brushes, and because Bissell does make turbo brushes for some of their higher end models like the PowerForce Helix Turbo, but those turbo brushes themselves aren't the best quality. But if you have one of the older Bissell turbo brushes, or if you have the Dyson tangle-free turbine tool that goes with their uprights, those do in fact fit and work on this. So if for whatever reason you don't like this tool, you've got some options. But even out of the box, this tool does perfectly fine for upholstery. Now, one interesting thing that I'm introducing in this review that I've never done before, and this was totally not because I happened to go to a Five Below and anyways, so I got this digital luggage scale, totally on purpose, and I figured this might be a good way to measure handle weight on vacuums. Now, this is a Five Below item. I don't expect this to be the most scientific in the world, but at least, if it's at least consistent with what it's detecting, then we can at least compare it to other things. It looks like I have to unscrew this to get access to that battery, so give me one sec. Okay, apparently I just had to pull the tab out, now it's fine. So I can turn it on or off. So we're going to try it real quick. And I'm going to recline the machine. Now, I guess it's now a good time to mention this has a 2-position pedal. So you can press the pedal once for normal vacuuming, or you can pop the head up to go over a rug or a transition strip. And then if you don't want to do that, you can press the pedal again to get low under furniture. And since this is the bag model, and since this has a much lower profile than any of the bagless units, the second pedal position actually makes sense. So that's good too. So I'm going to loop this around the handle, and we're going to see how much the handle weight actually is with this in the vacuuming mode. So if we turn this on, it says 0.0. Okay. I thought this would actually work. So when I let go, okay, I don't think I'm doing this right. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't think this is doing anything. It says 2.2 pounds. I don't think that's right. Okay. So this is junk. So, okay, I guess me measuring handle weight was not going to work out. Not with something from Five Below, at least. But what I can say anecdotally is that the handle weight on this is lower than any other vacuum in its price range, with the only exception being the more compact units, but this actually has a full-width brush roll, and it's a full-size machine. So it's the lightest full-size machines that you're going to find, and the whole thing weighs only 12 pounds. So you can't really go wrong with that, considering an Auric is 8 and doesn't have any tools on board, and is also direct air, which I wouldn't recommend these days. Now, there is a height adjustment knob up front, which you're going to want to adjust this to your actual floor setting. It defaults to the medium, and I know it says bare floor, but I mentioned earlier that you don't want to use it on bare floor, but you can at least use that for very, very low pile carpet. And then it defaults on medium, but if you feel a lot of resistance and it feels like it's hard to push, then you want to turn it up. And if you don't hear the brush roll engaging with the floor, then you turn it down. So there's ways to adjust this to your floor surface, and be sure to play with that and make sure you have it set the right setting for your floor. A lot of people are tempted to just put it all the way down, and you don't want to do that because you can wear out your belt prematurely, so you don't want to do that. It defaults to medium for most cases, that's fine, but feel free to adjust it as necessary whenever you need to. And get the cord caught on the wheel. Now it does have a cord hook up here, which you can use to keep the cord out of the way. So I'll give it a super quick run real quick. I think I said quick twice there. That's okay. So that's pretty much that. This is the Bissell PowerForce bag, model 1739, and like I said, it's still my #1 pick for the best budget upright for under $100. Now, like I said, if your budget's closer to around 150, then I recommend the Bissell Big Grain Commercial model BGU 1451T instead. After all, I recommend that machine so often I have the model number memorized. This particular one is the 1739, and it will be linked in the description. Now, the final thing that I'll address is I've seen some reviews complain about this machine, particularly about the front-facing exhaust. And the front-facing exhaust is pretty powerful, and it can, in fact, knock things off the wall if they're not super sturdy. So be careful of that. The front exhaust can, in fact, blow things away from the machine if they're on the wall. Now, obviously, it's not going to blow anything that's out front because it's pointed upwards when you have it reclined, but it can be an issue, so just be aware. Like I said, bags and belts will be linked in the description. I'll try to link everything in the description that I can, including the machine itself. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, be sure to leave a like, or you don't have to, I suppose, but if you did, it'd make me happy. And that's pretty much that. This is Intellitech Studios signing out with my review of the #1 budget vacuum and my recommendation for 2024, 2025, 2023, 2016, etc. Have a good one. Peace.